Welcome to the Broncos podcast with Troy Rink. I am your host, Troy Rink, columnist for the Denver Post. It is a Victory Monday, Broncos country, and likely, probably, yes, it is their most impressive victory of the season because of the complimentary football. The Broncos absolutely skunked the Cowboys 44-24, an offensive explosion. They took that last quarter against the Giants and continued it on. Sean Payton was spicy afterward. The players were feeling it, that they know if they play this way, where their offense can complement the defense, and you got a great kicker. The punter had not a great day, but a great kicker. You can win a lot of games this way. You can beat good teams on the road this way. You weren't going to be able to do that playing offense the way they were. They have a 5-game winning streak. They've won 9 straight at home. They're 6-2 atop the AFC West. Wow, a lot of things to feel good about when you think about where this team was 3 years ago. They are in position to make a run, give themselves a chance to either win the AFC West, host a playoff game. A lot of things on the table over the last 9 weeks. They're almost at the halfway point. But what an impressive victory. What did we see from Bo Nix? Well, I talked to Tony Romo after the game, one-on-one interview with CBS analyst, former Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo about Bo. Tell you what he saw. What was Bo doing that was so impressive? And the rookies have finally arrived. And Sean Payton took some digs at the media about that. Of course, he can't help himself. And there is some pause. Going into a big game at Houston, Pat Surtain was hurt. What is the projection there? It's early in the week. That would be a tough loss. There's no way around it. Surtain hurt, but Bo finds rhythm. The rookies arrive, and we'll give the latest we're hearing early Monday morning on Pat Surtain. That's all coming up after the break. Have you been injured in a car wreck or hurt at work? What are you waiting for? Give my friends at Hoggatt Injury Law a call. Their motto with us is personal. That's because it is. I've known Darby Hoggatt for years. We've become good friends. Many of his clients have become good friends. You don't even have to pay Darby up front. If your case goes as planned, Darby will be the one writing checks to you. So again, you've been hurt in a wreck, you've been injured at work, call Darby. You can see him on the screen. That number, 1-833-HOGGATT. That's 1-833-464-4288. Or visit the website at hoggattlaw.com. Welcome back to the Broncos Pod. I'm your host, Troy Rink from the Denver Post. I hope you're having a wonderful start to your morning. If you're a Broncos fan, why wouldn't you? Broncos, yesterday, think about that crowd. These last few crowds, folks, all credit to you if you were there. Electric type atmosphere, only 248 no-shows. A lot, some of that's because you got Cowboys fans there, but the crowd was feeling it. And when the crowd gets behind that offense, it's just a different energy for the Broncos. It's hard to get a crowd into the game when the offense stinks. It's very similar to baseball that way, that it's hard to get the crowd behind you when you're not scoring runs, you're not scoring points. And the Broncos jumped off to a great start, but not the first drive. That's what made it impressive. I wrote about this today at the Denver Post. Check out my work and Parker Gabriel and Luke Evans and Sean Keeler. We got you covered in the Denver Post, denverpost.com/sports. Go to that Broncos page. It's all there. But Bo Nix needed a good start. I challenged him, not that he cares what I think, on Sunday, hey, they don't need him to be a guy. They need him to be the man, and they need him to do it for a full game. And if you want to sit here and blame Sean Payton for everything and his play calling, well, I'm here to tell you, he still schemes guys open. And Bo can handle it, folks. You don't have to point the finger and blame everyone else if Bo doesn't have a good game. This is what comes with expectations. And I think sometimes we forget around here what that's like when a team enters a season thinking we're going to make a run in the playoffs. So you hold players to a different standard. There's an accountability there that isn't, every other game play well and try hard and maybe it works out. Bo gets it. And the guy was one of the top recruits in the country, on the radar since he was in 8th grade. He started every game at quarterback in his life since he was in 8th grade. He gets it. Trust me. So he understood the challenge. If you want to be the guy, after getting outplayed by Jackson Dart for 50 minutes the previous week and then having one of the greatest fourth quarters ever, put it together for a game. Show that you can be that guy. And man, did he ever. But not on the first pass. Not on that first drive. And that's what was so impressive. In his worst moment, it ended up being, for me, arguably his best day in his career, his young career. 24 games, 25 games in now. 18 last year, 7 this year, 8 this year, so 25 games. He's putting together an impressive resume. But first drive, they talked all week, folks. We got to get off to a fast start. We're creating urgency in practice. Wednesday's going to feel like Sunday. Thursday's going to feel like Sunday. And then Bo comes out and throws a pick off an RPO. I thought it might be miscommunication. It was just bad footwork. He lost his line of vision, and Pat Bryant cuts in for what would be a huge gainer, and Bo misses him by about 5 yards to the right. You're like, oh, shit, what the hell? And then all he does is come back, next drive, lead a touchdown, and gets into an absolute rhythm. And that's when I talked to Tony Romo after the game. He's like, hey, that just shows his maturity, his composure, belief in a game plan. He said a lot of young guys, second year, make a pick like that, throw a pick like that, they get frazzled. He told me, I didn't see any of that from Bo, that he just likes that confidence. And he called his game against Philly as well, so it's not a one-off. He said, he likes what he sees with this Broncos team. And I asked him, what do they have to do to prove they're a contender? And he said, hey, they've proven it. Now it's putting the head down, being more consistent. They got to clean some stuff up with the penalties. We know that. But Bo, folks, ends up having an absolute day, boxing the ears of the Cowboys. Bo, 19 for 29, 247, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, 117.4 rating. Look at the guys who got the ball. You got Franklin, 6 for 89, Sutton, 4 for 67, Bryant, 2 for 40, Engram, 4 for 36, Dobbin, 2 for 10. You get the idea. But that 4 touchdowns feels like a big number. Yeah, it is. We don't know, and sometimes we forget how spoiled we were by Peyton Manning. Bo Nix is the first Broncos quarterback to account for at least 4 touchdowns in back-to-back games since Manning in 2013. And you'll recall from my podcast before the season, I talked to Peyton Manning at length about Bo. And he said, and listen, Peyton publicly is a lot of times to compliment guys. He's reluctant to be critical. He goes to the Bronco games. He has season tickets, if you will. He's there. He watches Bo, and he told me Bo's made of the right stuff. The continuity with Sean Payton, the play caller, the second year in the system, the maturity, you're going to see him continue to improve. So he pegged it. Those first 7 weeks, though, it was uneven. It was clunky. It was clumsy. A mixed bag. Unbelievable quarter, 4th against the Eagles, 4th against the Giants, first quarter against the Jets. And then just barring stretches. Nothing. No points, no touchdown. The consistency he found in rhythm with Sean Payton was so encouraging. Why did it happen? Well, listen, they simplified things. They stayed in 11 personnel, 3 receivers, 1 back. The Cowboys had backups in. They were down at safety. They're down at cornerback. Sean Payton dialed it up. They went right at the weakness. And Payton was saucy afterwards, saying they were the worst defense, last ranked in about every category. We wanted to keep it that way. Okay, coach. And he did. But it wasn't just that. The operation was cleaner. They were getting to the play in sooner. He was getting to the line. From huddle to snap was such a cleaner operation. They might contest that. I'm just saying on the eye test, you didn't see guys running in late. You didn't see Bo getting in the line of scrimmage, pointing where guys were supposed to go. It just felt like a much cleaner operation. So despite that first pick, Bo rebounded and in Peyton's words played magnificent. Romo, again, told me it was the composure, the maturity, the ability to execute a game plan, all stuck out for a team that wants to make a run. So I asked Mike McGlinchey, and I always like to go to Mike because he's candid with it in terms of the opposite. What changed? Why were you able to put a full game together with balance, with Dobbins rolling out another 100-yard game? He's only the first Broncos back since 2022 to have 2 100-yard rushing games. What did Mike McGlinchey see? What did he see from this team that was different? And what did Evan Engram see that was different? And how Bo Nix rebounded. Let's hear from McGlinchey and Evan Engram about was clearly the Broncos' best offensive performance, albeit against a Cowboys defense that should have been maybe in Boulder, not Denver. They're terrible, but it was a get-right game. So here's Mike McGlinchey and Evan Engram on the offensive awakening, what they saw from Bo specifically in what was a huge day for the Denver attack.
I think first and foremost, we were just sick and tired of the way that it was going. And so it was a heightened week of practice. It was a heightened plan. The plan was great. It was, playing the hits and songs we know by heart, right, is Sean's favorite line. And we did a lot of things differently just for eye candy and with doing our base stuff. And it was a great way to execute. And we were moving up and down the field well today, and it was a great game for us.
When Bo plays like this, do you ever pinch yourself and say a lot of things are possible when our quarterback's playing? And it came back from a bad interception early.
Absolutely. I think he's got a little bit of that magic to him, and his competitive fire and desire to win is contagious. And the way he's turned it on in clutch times for us this year, and obviously all game today, it was crazy impressive, and it was awesome to be a part of it.
To leave this game running the ball the way you got, does that resonate as much as anything with this group?
I would hope so. And I think it has to, because it's complementary football allows us to do everything we want to do, and it was our playbook was kind of open today because of the way that we were able to run the football.
At 6-2, how do you see it? Are they, hey, we're a legit contender, or we haven't done anything yet? Or
got a lot of ball left. Got a lot of ball left. Got to be great. We got to make that our standard. We got to keep going and move forward from there.
It is funny because there's been so much talk about let's see the fourth quarter Broncos offense in the first three quarters. Today you guys did just that.
Yeah, we just played complete football, executed, stayed on track, moved the chains, scored points. Guys made big plays in the end zone. Just a great day. I think, like I said, this is our standard, and we got to continue to build on this and try to get even better.
Speaking of guys stepping up, the rookies usually takes these guys time to develop.
Yeah.
All three three of the ones with touchdown. Jade, you got Bryant, you got RJ Harvey. Huge games from all those guys.
Yeah, days like this happens. They start getting some confidence. They start playing true to themselves. Those guys have been working hard ever since they got here. Coach believes in them, Bo believes in them, and they responded really well today and made some big plays. And they're not going to forget today, and hopefully they gain some confidence today to have some more days like this in the future.
It looked like today that you went back to the hits, the plays you guys do really well.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys simplify it a little bit? There was this urgency, I know, during the week.
Yeah.
Did it feel like you kind of simplified and just let's do the stuff
No,
we
I
do
think
well?
we just executed really well. We had a good plan. We had ways to attack them. We have ways to attack everybody. I think our execution was just really, really good today. That was our goal throughout the week, and start fast, and that's executing early, and I think we did that.
Go ahead.
Cowboys came in, last in the league in defense. Sean just said it was the goal to kind of keep them that way. Did you see a little bit of a difference from him this week in terms of just the urgency, wanting to kind of attack them a little bit? What does he look like?
He's our head football coach. I think after the 3 quarters we had last week, you're going to feel some pressure. I think obviously we did what we had to do in the fourth, but I think that's just his job. That's his job. I think we responded really well, and like I said, we got to keep building on this.
What was the meeting last night like when Sean's going in there and playing the fighting songs, I think he said?
Troy had like 5 of his fight songs come up, so we knew he was going to have a big day, but it got the guys going for sure.
What did it say about Bo to have that early pick and then turn around and play the way he did?
It was awesome. Guys missed shots. He missed a shot early. He responded really well. I think that's what makes him who he is. There's going to be adversity. There's going to be bad plays. How do you respond? He did just that.
Thanks, Evan.
Welcome back to the pod. I'm Troy Rink from Denver Post. You get an idea. Guys took it personally. That's when you know a team is going to have a chance to be special. I've talked about this on the pod all the time. When players take ownership, they don't point the finger. They don't play the victim. It's like, how do we fix stuff? How do we make it better? When they have that attitude and you have a coach pushing them, holding them to a high standard, typically good things can happen. When you point fingers, when you throw guys under the bus, when it's never your fault, when it's the coach, it's the weather, it's the ball, it's the road trip, that was the Broncos of the past, folks. This Broncos team's got a little to it, got a little attitude, and it comes from the top. When there's times it's really encouraging, times again when they're not good offensively, you're like, you can't have this chip on your shoulder and play like this offensively. You've got to be better. And what we saw on Sunday against, again, a crappy Cowboys defense gives you hope that it's there. Faith is believing on something you haven't seen. Confidence comes from demonstrated ability, as Peyton likes to say. It's hard to have confidence without results. So you can rip the Cowboys defense all you want, and that's fair. But at some point, it's like the teams that play the Rockies and guys are racing to the bat rack. You go against them, like the Blue Jays, for instance, in the World Series. You have a series, you're already, maybe you're feeling in a slumber. It gives you that belief that I got it. I don't care who it's against. It's there. And that's what you would hope this game is for the Broncos, that they can see this game and say, see, this is what happens when we have balance. Then it opens up the entire playbook and everything is kind of at your disposal. And hey, we got a really good quarterback. But when you can't run and you play behind the chains, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, they're not that team. They're not good enough to play that. Not many NFL teams are. This Broncos team is not. But what we've seen, what we saw on Sunday gives you hope, encouragement. It's not unlike those games last year against the Falcons, against the Saints, against the Panthers, against the Tampa Bay. Can you feed off that? Can you play off that? And this will be a huge test this Sunday because Houston's defense is diametrically opposed to Dallas. One of the best defenses in the league. They get after the quarterback. They have a great quarterback in Stingley. They get after the pass. They'll get after you up front. They'll slow the run. I mean, everything that you saw from Dallas doesn't exist with Houston, but at least you go into that game on the road feeling like I got something. The chest is puffed out, and Houston's coming off a big win. They played well against San Francisco. But a huge game for the offense. You look at the final numbers for Denver. These team stats are so impressive. 25 first downs. You have 426 yards of total offense. I mean, that's how you get it done. You're 5 for 8 on 3rd down. Those are winning numbers, folks. So, yes, did it come against a bad team? Of course. But can it mean something? It feels like it can. Feels like it can. And it also showed depth for the first time this season. That rookie class, which, we've lamented at times, is needed to make an impact sooner, finally came through. I'm going to talk about that group after the break. When you face curveballs from family challenges, divorce, legal separation, child support, alimony, custody, you need a lawyer who understands human dynamics, the courtroom, and is willing to fight for you. You need Ted Shih. He's a graduate of Cal Berkeley Law. Ted brings 40 years of courtroom and 20 years of family law experience to your corner. Ted's been a social worker, a police detective. First and foremost, though, he's a great trial lawyer. He's tried cases across Colorado and the country. Martindale Hubbell ranks Ted among the top lawyers in the U.S. You want an expert to navigate your challenge? Call Ted. His passion is putting you first. Ted will work to settle your case. He's not afraid to go toe-to-toe in a trial to protect your interests. Ted can be reached at theoshih@aol.com. TheoShih@AOL.com, or give this number a call, 303-475-2981. That's 303-475-2981. Ted promises to respond to your concerns within 24 hours, 365 days a year. Well, hello, rookie. That's what it looks like when you got a rookie class that comes up big. That's what it looks like. Yes, it is, folks. The Broncos absolutely got contributions from that rookie class. And I've been critical of it. Because I felt like they needed more offensive help early in the draft. They went with Jahdae Barron at corner. Fell into their lap. Everyone thought he'd go to Miami. I felt like they should have gotten it back earlier, whether it was Travion Henderson, whether it was Omari and Hampton, however that looked. Hampton was the one that was most mocked to him. They waited and traded back and back and back to get R.J. Harvey. And they needed a receiver. And they got Pat Bryant from Illinois, who was not projected to go high in the draft. A stretch, if you will. And you give them the benefit of the doubt, Peyton, because of the way they draft. They know what a Broncos player looks like. One of the best things Sean Payton has done for this organization is create a template of what a Bronco looks like. Measurables that are there's non-starters on certain positions. You've got to have these baseline things. Tough, competitive spirit, love football, guys that want to win. And I know everyone's, oh, that's everyone. No, it's not. So if you go into a college and the coach is like, yeah, he's late a lot. It doesn't feel like his heart in it. They just pass on the guy. His heart's not in it. And it makes it easier to find, like, what is a Bronco? Who is a Bronco? So you get kind of former coaches' sons, captains, guys who love it, guys who grind. You can't win with a bunch of good guys. Like, you got to have athletes and players. We get it. But you create a culture of guys who think alike. And that is what happens when teams start to get good. Guys push each other. They hold each other accountable. They take ownership. And you bring rookies into that culture and you push them. And we wondered, are we ever going to see it? As other teams around the league have guys just going off. Well, we saw it with young players. 3 rookies, and Troy Franklin's only a second-year guy. But look at these numbers here from the young guys. You've got Jahdae Barron. He was going in and out of the lineup yesterday constantly. Am I in? Am I out of it? He has a huge pick of Dak Prescott. Pat Surtain gets hurt. Last play of the first half, hurts his left shoulder. Barron ended up playing more along with Abrams Drain, another second-year guy. Both played well. And that was, as bad as the Dallas defense is, offensively, they're really good. Even on the road, they average 24.5 points a game. And they have Pickens, they have Ferguson, and they have, CD Lamb. Ferguson did nothing. I was shocked that he wasn't more part of their game plan. But Pickens and Lamb are still good. Pickens, 7 for 78. Lamb, 7 for 74. But neither one got in the end zone. Riley Moss was getting picked on. We got that. But he still was able to keep him out of the end zone. But you look at the rookies. Jahdae Barron, his first interception. The first interception for a Broncos cornerback this season. Big moment in the game as Dallas was trying to claw back in. Pat Bryant, 2 catches, 40 yards, his first touchdown. And that touchdown from Nix was like a little morning ice cheek. Swallowed some air. That touchdown down the left sideline, a 24-yarder, that was Manning-esque in that it was just dropped out of the sky. That might be Bo Nix's most impressive pass in his career. The Marvin Mims bomb against Cincinnati's right there. It's a different kind of pass where you're just like letting it eat and a guy runs under it. But that pass to Bryant was just an absolute thing of beauty. Bryant gets his first touchdown. Nix thinks the penalty was on the Broncos, might have been a false start. It's actually offsides. Once he realizes, he's like, holy sh! And he runs and makes sure that Bryant gets the football for his first touchdown. Same thing he did for RJ Harvey a few weeks earlier. That's the guy who gets it at quarterback. He gets his first touchdown. RJ Harvey comes out of the shadows. He has not done much over several weeks, and partly because Dobbins is better than him right now. But Harvey, 7 carries, 46 yards, 40-yard touchdown. We saw that speed. He got through the hole. He got outside. Nobody was catching him. And if you want to feel good about the Broncos and what it looks like to take stuff personally, watch Quinn Meinerz blocking on that play. It's on my Twitter feed at Troy Rink. He cleaned up like 3 dudes. Absolutely cleaned up like 3 dudes on that play. And I bring that up because holy crap, was that impressive to see what he did there. So you have Barron, first pick. You have Bryant on a mix-up on that first series. Bo doesn't lose confidence in him, goes back to him, touchdown on a 24-yarder. And then you have RJ Harvey doing work in the run game, 7 for 46, caught a pass. But listen to Quinn Meinerz talk about that run, what it meant. Meinerz said he's been dealing with some stuff. But here's Quinn Meinerz talking about cleaning up 3 guys, what it meant to see from Harvey, that home crowd kind of behind him. Guys were feeling like they turned a corner offensively with the balance and how it opened up the playbook. And it opened up a can of whoop ass for Quinn Meinerz on the 3 dudes on one place. Here's what Quinn said about RJ Harvey's touchdown run and the crowd, the big day for the offense.
Obviously, when we're not playing well, they let us know because they're locked into the game. They are expecting a certain product to be put out there, and we understand that, knowing how invested this entire city is to what we do out there here at the stadium. So it's extremely important to us to continue to, put a good product out there for them. So to be able to have a game like this compared to last week was really good for us and good for Broncos country as well.
Quinn, can you take us through your 40-yard, the RJ Harvey's 40-yard touchdown run? It looked like you laid two guys out and then also held the third back.
Yeah, I got moving on that play. I've been battling a couple things kind of that no one really knows about. So today I was finally feeling really good. So it felt good to go out there and just be back to myself and spring RJ for a little touchdown.
One at the line of scrimmage, when you're pushing guys off the ball like that, can you feel from like a mentality standpoint, or as the game goes on, that you're wearing them down?
Yeah, it's like, I get tired playing at altitude as well, so I can't even imagine what other teams feel, especially when we're able to have however many carries, explosive plays and stuff like that, where we're constantly ahead of the sticks, first down. Like I said, I get tired out there, so I can't even imagine how some of these guys feel coming here and having to deal with that element.
Does this feel like it shows where you guys can be when you're on your best?
100%. I think this is what we've been chasing. The complementary football of offense, defense, special teams. There's still penalty things that we need to work through, but this is what we're capable of doing, and we got to learn from this tape. It's just as much as you got to learn from losses and last week's game. There's so much to learn on this tape always, and that's some of the most important things leading into carrying momentum to the next week.
Coach said on them having the worst defense, number 32 in the league, that we wanted to keep them last. When you look at the film and know you're going against a defense that's struggling, do you just have the mindset we can dominate, or what exactly?
That's not necessarily what I take away from the tape. They have really good interior players. Kenny Clark's been in this league dominant for a really long time. My guy Oso, we were at the Senior Bowl together. He got paid there and has been playing really well too. Solomon Thomas is another vet over there. They do have pieces. It's just when you have a new system or whatever that you're trying to learn, it's difficult. I've been a part of some new offenses and stuff like that. So I think they're a lot better than what the tape shows, and we'll just have to see how they keep moving forward.
Welcome back to the pod. Troy Rink here from the Denver Post. Hope you, again, Broncos country, having a wonderful start to your week. I cannot thank you enough for your support. I could not do this pod without you guys. So I wake up early on a Monday, got to give you the best insight I can offer. And it's fun now. You guys deserve this. People are like, should we embrace this team? Hell yeah. You lived through 7-8 years of absolute bullshit, of just incompetent quarterback play, dysfunctional ownership, constant changing parts, terrible home losses. Now they're a contender again. And I never thought it would take this long for the Broncos to get back on their feet. Growing up, watching the Broncos, if they had a bad season, the next year was 500 or 12-4, they were right back in there. For 35 years, they had more Super Bowl berths than losing seasons. So Broncos country, you know what it looks like. You know what it feels like. This team has some of that mojo. It's early. It's a 17-game season now, so at halftime at Houston, they'll be at the halfway point. But you would take 6-2. You take 6-2 with the way Bo Nix is playing. You take 6-2 with this defense and the sack numbers they're throwing out. And if you wouldn't, you're crazy. They could have won against the Colts and Chargers, but if we're being honest, they probably could have lost and should have lost against the Eagles and Giants. So 6-2 is who they are. And you got Bo sitting here with 15 touchdowns and 5 picks, 1,800 yards. So he's on pace for right around 4,000 yards. 31, 32 touchdowns, 11, 12 picks. That's a tick above last year. I've said before the season, if he could give you what he gave you last year, but it looked a little different, they'd be right where they need to be. And he's doing it. And he's building off it. And some of these young players, like we thought they'd miss Devon Bailey, and it felt like times they did. Well, Troy Franklin stepped up. They knew they were going to Franklin because of the cornerback matchup. And he stepped up. He's showing improvement. Ability to get off the line of scrimmage, get some separation. It's just getting better. I think sometimes, guys, when I watch this team under Peyton, he is unbelievable in October. Sean Payton just absolutely crushes it in October. And I think it's partly because his offense and some of the stuff he teaches, it's like the high level calculus or the graduate honors classes. sometimes it takes a while to understand it, but once the students get it, they take off. Like, oh, now I get it. Like literally the proverbial light bulb. There is some of that when I watch the Peyton team. That doesn't excuse the penalties and that's BS. They know that. The players get it. You can't have pre-snap, post-snap penalties. They got to still clean that up. But with Peyton, you look at what he does in October compared to September in his splits. I thought I had this on my screen. I want to look it up real quick. But it is remarkable how different and how good they get. I mean, it's Bill Belichick in, honestly, and the way they do it. Let me see if I can find those splits for him. I'll find it. I don't have it in front of me here, but Peyton in October is one of the best coaches in football. I mean, it's not even close. When you look at the breakdown, his teams get better, and I think again part of it is it's not the easiest stuff to learn. It's not. It just, and the better they get, the more reps they get, more time on task, the better they get at it. And you just see a coach as the season goes, they get better in October, and we're seeing it now. We're seeing it now. September's a little clunky. Even in Denver, he got off his first year here, terrible September start. They've been better. But in October, the last 3 years is when they've really got their season back on track. And in this case, put themselves in position to do some damage. But there is some concern. We got to be fair. Maybe Nico's out for the Texans, their star receiver. We're not sure where that stands. But Broncos now play an early morning game in Houston. It's not a great crowd environment. And people say that. I mean, Texas is amazing for high school football. It's not. I've covered, I think, 3 games in Houston with the Texans. It's just not some intimidating environment. So I wouldn't say that, even though they're finally playing better. A lot of respect for D'Amico Ryans. He could have been the Broncos coach. I think he would have been, honestly, if he wanted to be. But his wife, she wanted to stay in Houston. That's where he played. That's where he's beloved. But I mean, it was a chance. It was Harbaugh. It was Peyton. And then Ryans moved ahead of him. And then once Ryans, it became clear his family and his wife specifically wanted him to go to Houston. He wouldn't take a deal. We got to make the deal before you leave the building. He was never going to do that. And then Peyton moved back to the front, and it's worked out for both parties. Peyton is who they needed, a coach like that. D'Amico might have been fine, but I think if you look at it, the Broncos are better off with Peyton because of the quarterback situation with Bo Nix. I'm not sure D'Amico Ryans with random offensive coordinator gets the most out of a young quarterback or a Bo Nix. That the Peyton-Nix dynamic is what's accelerating the Broncos' improvement, but both coaches doing work. But now the Broncos have to go there with Pat Surtain hurt. And if you're watching the game, if you want to, when did he get hurt? Well, he hurt his ankle breaking up a ball in the end zone. Great play, goes up, knocks a ball, and he came down funny on his ankle. He celebrated and then went right back down. He went into the blue tent, had it taped up, came back in. Then right at the end of the first half, he makes a tackle where he's pulling a guy down, and he kind of just wrenches his left shoulder. And it was uncomfortable. He goes into the locker room. He doesn't come back out and play. And that's a tough one, because if you can't grab, you can't use your hands as a corner, I don't know that he'd be able to play. We're not going to, Sean Payton will talk on Monday morning. He's not going to provide an update about Surtain. I can 100% guarantee you that will not happen. But would it shock me if Surtain missed a week or two with that type of injury? It wouldn't. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I'm just saying, if it's a shoulder injury, shoulder strain, it just depends on the mobility. You don't want a guy out there with one arm and then getting a wrench back, and now you lose him for several weeks. So it puts pressure on Jahdae Barron and Chris Abrams-Drain, and Drain maybe even more than Barron, because they've been using Drain in a way that suggests he's the backup corner, and then Barron has been moving all around. But regardless of how they end up doing it, if Surtain's out on the road, that's tough. And another one, and it's not here in the headline, but Marvin Mims Jr., I went to talk to him after the game. They're like, oh, you can't talk to him. He's in the concussion protocol. He got dinged on a punt return at the end of that game, punt or kick return, I should know this, where he got hit, looked like helmet to helmet. He's in concussion protocol. So as you go to Houston, that would stink to lose both those players. Obviously, Surtain, reigning defensive player of the year, we'll keep an eye on it. And if you want to know how that works, just keep an eye on, are they limited by Thursday, full participant Friday. It almost always has to trend that way to be able to play. If it's no practice Wednesday, no practice Thursday, typically it doesn't go from no practice to full participant and play. Peyton might hold this one close to the vest if you can get him onto the field even on Friday with a chance for one of those game day decisions. But for now, could be a race against the clock for Surtain. It means it's a huge challenge for Chris Abrams-Drain and for Jahdae Barron to step up. Mims, if he's out, that hurts. Again, he's more of a gadget player than a true number 2, but he's always a guy that just excites the offense, caffeinates the offense. So, and he is by far the best punt returner I see on a regular basis in the league, let alone for the Broncos. So if you lose him on punt return and you lose Surtain on defense, are you good enough to win a road game against Houston? Your defense would have to, be one of those games where you get 5 sacks and a couple turnovers. You change the game where you're not trying to play perfect. It's run the ball, keep it even, get a little bit of a lead, allow Bonito, who hasn't had a sack in a couple of games, and Cooper to go off. And that can happen against Stroud. His offensive line isn't great, but the challenge is real. So keep an eye on those things. With Surtain hurt, Mims in the concussion protocol, what would that look like at Houston? But your Broncos, again, they have a 5-game winning streak. They have a 9-game home winning streak. They found ways to win differently, and they showed balance offensively. So look at the way they won it. Look at the way they won it with the ability to run the football with a 100-yard rusher, a quarterback who overcomes an early mistake, takes care of the ball, and is able to spread it around, and defense coming up with big plays when they need to. They give up 24 points. One of those was a late touchdown. But those are the kind of components you want to see. And now can you go do it against a good team, a much better defense on the road? Well, you got confidence. You can't have much more confidence. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this pod. I could not do it without the help and their support of my A1 from day one, Darby Hoggatt from Hoggatt Injury Law. Give him a call if you've been hurt in a car wreck. Ted Shih from his Ted Shih Family Law Practice. If you're going through some family challenges, give Ted a call. Rewind, get that number off the screen if you need it. Ted's the greatest. He is really good at what he does. And of course, Nate Lundy and Danny Bailey of Mile High Sports. Nate's the one who makes it all happen. And then Danny is the producer. Everything you see with the graphics and making my fat head look good. It really, really, Danny makes this so much easier for me. So Broncos country, feel good about it. Your team 6-2 atop the AFC West. The Chiefs are coming, but the Broncos are not going to flinch. Who knows where it is going to end? But you can sit here today and know you've got a team that is capable of winning the West. Will they do it? Got 9 games to prove it. A huge one this week in Houston. We'll talk more about that and preview that game late this week after I attend practice. Broncos country, I do this pod for you. Happiness that begins with me. Go out there and have a great day.